I started microdosing Iboga today, and I thought this would be an interesting way to sort of do a journal, like a video journal. I don't know if I'm gonna publish it. We'll see. I'll see how it goes. But I just figured I would talk a little bit about it, a little bit about what I'm experiencing, what's coming up, and so my intention with this was that I feel like I've been holding on to some really heavy emotional stuff for a long time, like as long as I can remember. I feel like I've been kind of carrying this like grief and sadness, and it hasn't been like all consuming. It doesn't dominate my emotional state, but it's in the background, and I feel like it's like dampening things. It like one of the ways that I described it once was like it was like a wet blanket, just like ruining the party, you know, like nobody has fun with a wet blanket, It's just like it's like what is this thing? And so and it's like I don't really know. I don't know where it's come from. I don't know what it's about. I don't know what story it's about or connected to, or I don't know what the deal is, but I feel like it's this thing that I've been dragging with me. It's like this unprocessed emotion, stuck energy that yeah, that I've been carrying for too long. And it's like, it I guess lately it's been coming on really strong as like what I would describe as anhedonia. I think that comes pretty close to the description. It's like this kind of low level depression. Again, it's not like all consuming. It doesn't dominate, but it's just kind of in the background all the time, and it it appears as this sort of ambivalence, like just kind of like just like not caring, like not enthusiastic, not it's hard to get excited about things. Even doing things that I like to do doesn't really it doesn't really bring joy or excitement in the way that I think it should. But it also isn't some like pit of despair, hopelessness, sadness and grief kind of thing. It's just kind of it's like it's hovering in some in between state where it's almost like I'm not able to feel in either direction. And it's always been confusing to me. It's sort of baffling because it's not because I'm not running away. I'm not avoiding, at least as far as I know, consciously. For a long time I've been very open to my emotions, good, bad. It's like I have this attitude of like, bring it on, like whatever it is, let's just feel it, and not, at least intellectually, I don't really label emotions as good or bad. They're just states of being to move through, emotions to move through. And so it's like, I'm not like burying myself in substances. I'm not like consuming things to cover it up. And it's always been really confusing to me why this is the case, because I by all accounts, as far as I can tell, I feel like I'm very open, as far as my emotions go. But it seems like there's this grief, there's this sadness that just won't move through. It just will not come through and process and as a result, it just kind of stays, just kind of hangs around. It's like, and and I think it's one of these things where like it's probably from an early age of childhood I developed this response to my environment that served me somehow. It was, I'm sure it was helpful, and it was there to assist me, to protect me from something, some kind of vulnerability or whatever. But that was a long time ago, and now I feel like it's like, thank you, thank you for your service. You're no longer needed here. We're not going to get rid of you, but we're just going to put you over to the side here so that we can move on, in a new state, in a new vibration. And so this is the motivation for the Iboga. I first heard about Ibogaine about 10 years ago, and it sounded terrifying. It's like, it's illegal in the US, but outside of the US, it's used very effectively for the treatment of addiction, like opioids, cocaine, Adderall, heroin, bulimia, like food disorders, eating disorders. And it's a, I think maybe I'll get into the details of it later, but it's like, it's a really intense plant medicine. I've never done a flood dose, a massive dose. So like, I only just started microdosing today. So I'm not really equipped to like speak about what it is, but it's like, it's a psychedelic plant medicine experience that, in so many words, it sort of resets your receptors. It's like for the accounts that I've heard of people treating heroin addiction is like, they're a full blown addict going in, and then they do it, and from that day forward, they're just not even interested in it. Like, the addiction is broken. It just wipes the receptors clean. One of the stories, like I think back in the 90s, or maybe the 80s, there was one of the main guys who was like active in bringing Ibogaine to the public. He was a heroin addict, and him and all of his friends living in this apartment, they were all junkies, and he was friends with some research with a doctor in a research lab who was working on this, and the doctor gave him some Ibogaine. And at the time, I mean, back then in the 80s, this was like precious. This was like nobody had access to this. And so he gives him some Ibogaine, and the guy goes back to his apartment with his friends, and they do a journey, and they all came out of it, 24 hours later. Like, I think the way that they described it was like their addiction to heroin was like presented to them in such a way, like they could see their dependency, which is it's funny, because it's like, from the outside, it's like you see someone who's hooked on heroin, it's like, it's obvious, but I think, for them, who's the person who's in it, might not be the case. But anyways, during this experience, their dependency on heroin was shown to them, reflected and presented to them in a way that they quit heroin the next day. Them and everybody in the apartment stopped using, and the guy went on to, like, he basically made it his mission to start this project, bringing Ibogaine to addicts, and using it as a medicine to heal. Story goes on, and eventually he brought it to a lab to get through like FDA testing or something. The woman at the lab in the phase 2 trials, she saw how effective it was, and she took it and ran. She went to like the Virgin Islands or something, took his product, took his business, and ran and started her own thing. He got cut out, and she was all lawyered up. So, anyways, not my story, but but yeah, there's some pretty interesting stories around it. But so anyways, so I heard about it about 10 years ago, and it sounded terrifying because it's like the stories of what people experience during a flood dose just sound terrifying. But it's been circling back lately. It's been kind of reappearing in my field of consciousness. Kind of getting these messages have been getting through, and it's been sort of pinging me, and so I got interested in it, as I never really thought of it as something that I would do, or that I was interested in. It was always like something that was reserved for like the hardcore drug addicts. But now it's been coming back, and I've been the research that I've been, just the Googling and the stuff that I've been reading about it. Some people have been talking about how it's really helpful for processing emotions, for I don't know, resetting the receptors, and wiping that slate clean, and so I've just been at a point where I've been carrying this this stuff that this stuff that no longer serves me, but just can't seem to quite let it go. And I've been I have been meeting once a week with a therapist for about a year now, a little over a year, which has been amazing, super like incredible, super helpful. But I think it's part of this whole journey is like it's been leading me down this road. And so but even with therapy, I feel like I'm still not able to really crack this open. So that's why I'm exploring Iboga. And I'm not ready to do a flood dose. I think maybe at some point, but right now I'm just starting with microdosing, and just the intention. I think intention with any of with anything, but like plant medicines especially, the intention is really important. And the intention here is to feel whatever it is that I need to feel, to see what I need to see, and to let whatever I need to feel that. And that's sort of like the message to the spirit, to the plant medicine, is just show me what I need to feel. And sort of independent of any outcome that I want. Obviously I want to drop this sadness, drop this grief. I want to move on and feel something different. But even aside from that, it's just sort of letting go of the outcome, just to to show me what I need to feel, whatever that might be. So I am also I'll be journaling, I'll be writing, because I think there's something really powerful about like the connection of the pen to paper, and something about the wiring there. But I haven't been journaling in a while, in a long time, so that'll be interesting. But I'll be journaling, pen and paper, and this was a spontaneous thing. I wasn't really planning on this, but I think this podcasting is an interesting way to sort of to journal about it, to talk about it, document it. And for me, there really is something cathartic about talking. So this is in a lot of ways, this is kind of my preferred method. Whether it's interesting to watch is a different, whether it's interesting to listen to is a different story. But and honestly, I don't even know. I don't know if I'll publish this. We'll see. But that's the plan. That's the intention.